with the other queens, and so it hasn't really been a normal experience, if you will. So I wasn't really expecting to know what that would look like because I have never been in a pageant yet. But the first one that I did sign up for was Galaxy. And so that was actually back in 2019. So Cindy had contacted me, and I had just signed up there. But then because of COVID during 2020, it was postponed to this year, as you know. So that got pushed back, and then another one I signed up for that also got pushed back. So basically, all of them are sort of into 2021 now, and possibly even 2022, depending on how long this pandemic is going to go on for.
True. I know that is hard because last year was a mess. It was pageants are happening still, but it was very hard for everyone. Um, to make a question, it wasn't live our way, my mistake. But so you guys know, this is Vinita, if I say the name right.
Vinita,
She is a Galaxy girl and Miss Universe
Canada.
and
Hmm.
and not the other one.
Oh, it's that's Miss Canada World Universal 2020 2021 in the elite category.
That's the one. Oh, I think I know about this one, but I'm like excited to see you again in online because we met a few months or years a year ago,
A year ago, yeah.
and now you're in Ontario. I'm still in BC, but you went to many or three pageants or four pageants, but they're all postponed. Like
Yeah,
mine was, ours
exactly.
was. Together we are both for Kanagasi was
Hmm.
postponed, but hopefully it will go ahead this year.
Hopefully, yeah.
Crossing fingers. If the vaccines gets done on time and travel restrictions,
Yeah,
um,
that's a huge one. Hmm.
I know it's pretty hard for everyone right now because no one knows what's going to happen in a year.
Exactly. We have no idea, and then we're short supply for vaccines right now. And then obviously the first priority is seniors, 80 and over, and other vulnerable populations. So by the time everyone gets vaccinated, and who knows how long that will take. And now there are variants going on as well. So really, it's really unpredictable. So I sort of see this as a test of faith, if you will, like sometimes I think people get stressed because they want to be in control. And I think most people do kind of want a structure, want a routine, want to be able to plan and organize their life. But sometimes that's not possible. Sometimes, we have to sort of go with the flow and not get overstressed about things because it's
True.
really out of our hands. All we can do is try to take precautions and stay safe.
Pressure right now because right now everyone should wear a mask,
Yeah.
social distance, wash your hands. Like you technically have to wash your hands anytime. That's not a new thing; it's an old thing. We
So,
have to do.
how is it in BC right now? Because here in Ontario, we're on total lockdown and it's been extended so many times. So, the last one was announced on Friday. So, we have another lockdown till March the 3rd.
Wow, art is now restricted.
Okay.
No movies.
Okay.
We can't do movies. Can't do community events. Can't um, be near our friends much unless
Hmm.
you're single. Then you could have a couple little bubbles. That's what I'm
Hmm.
doing.
Hmm.
But I'm very cautious on myself right now because my parents both have cancer.
Oh,
So I'm the
yeah.
caregiver for my mom
Yeah.
as of now. So I'm hoping for the vaccine comes out more quicker now, and
Yeah.
then I'll get my shot sooner than my age group due to what I'm in living
Right.
in. But it is hard, very hard, because our lockdown our restrictions are now indefinite. So
Yeah.
we don't have a time zone.
Oh, I see. Okay. Mm-hmm.
So it could be canceled in a week, 2 weeks. We're hoping a little bit like go
Mm-hmm.
in beginning of March, but it's 100% not sure because of the COVID numbers are
Yeah.
leading here
Are the
in BC.
numbers going up or down, or how is it in BC right
It's coming down, but
now?
it's from
Oh,
300 to 600 a day
okay.
positive
Okay.
cases.
Okay.
The death rate is going down a bit, but
Yeah.
it's like 5, 10, 12. On the weekends, we don't know our numbers until Monday. Unless
Okay.
it's a holiday, then it goes the next day. But it's like the last weekend was 29 deaths
Hmm.
in 3 days.
Okay. And
So
yeah. Mm-hmm.
it's it's coming down. So far this year, I think it's over 300 people died in
Yeah.
BC.
It's a lot. It's a lot for BC. So how are your parents like their treatment going on? Are they still able to? Are they doing chemotherapy, or what has that been like for them?
So my dad is radiation
Okay.
and hormone therapy for prostate cancer. He
Mm.
has a lower grade, but he's still doing it
Okay.
once every couple months. My
Hmm.
mom just started last week, or this on Thursday, her first chemo,
Oh,
and she did pretty good. Like
good.
shocking how well it went.
That's
Um,
good.
she's doing good right now.
Hmm.
A little bit tired, but depends on the day and if she needs painkiller, it kind of makes her more tired.
Oh
But
yeah. Hmm.
it is what life is gonna be like for her. So she doesn't know how long she wants to live long, but it's the number crunch.
Yeah.
She is has the highest or the worst cancer there
Oh.
is one of the deadliest ones is a
Oh.
pancreatic
Oh yeah.
cancer.
Pancreatic.
Yep,
Yeah.
cancer spreader. So it did spread, but
I'm
they're going
sorry.
to try calm it down,
Yeah.
but they're not going to cure it. There's no cure for it.
So how are you coping? Because that must be that I can only imagine how hard that is for you, for both parents. And I mean that must be very stressful. Are you the primary caregiver?
Um, for one of them, my youngest brother sister-in-law is doing it for
Okay.
my dad, so I'm doing my mom because
Okay.
I'm here 24 or every day. I live with them, so
Hmm.
I'm more concerned about her than him.
Mm, of
But
course.
if she's gone, then I'm taking over my dad
Okay.
as a power attorney. So
Hmm.
it's
That's a lot.
sometimes
That's a lot you're going through. That's a lot.
there's a lot of work, but it's also just calm myself, go enjoy my day at work.
Hmm.
That I am better off right now than a year ago.
Okay.
I have a way better job now. I work flexible hours, but it's also too is better for me.
Oh, good. Good. So you like what you do?
Oh yeah,
That's good.
I work
That's
for a
that's
bakery, so
that's
how
awesome.
bad is that?
That's
Is
awesome.
that
Which one?
Valley Bakery
Where is that?
on Hastings Street in
Okay.
between Burnaby and Vancouver?
Okay, yeah, because I used to live in Vancouver, so just curious. There were
So
so
how
many nice eateries and restaurants. I used to live in Yaletown, so there were so many beautiful patios and nice places to walk. And now I'm thinking during COVID, probably everything is closed. It must be so hard for businesses to stay open and just survive.
they surviving right now in BC is restaurants are coping,
Okay.
but their restrictions are tight. 9 o'clock, no more liquor, or 10 o'clock, no liquor. but close at 10.
Mhm.
So there's businesses. How do we adjust to them? So no movie theaters. So those business movie theaters, casinos,
Mhm.
they haven't had open since.
Yeah, I think Ontario has been like that since almost the beginning. Like we've been on lockdown for so long. Their numbers are really high here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
but
guys,
you know it
you
has to be done. Hmm.
and also Quebec first too, but Alberta's coming up too, and so and like I'm lucky I didn't move to Alberta like I was going to
Oh, okay. You were. I didn't know you were planning to go to Alberta. What city were you planning to go?
Edmonton.
Edmonton. I have a cousin who lives there. Yeah.
Yeah, so that is better off for me right now. Is in Vancouver still with my parents until they pass away. Then I will decide to move to Edmonton or stay in and move to Burnaby or Vancouver area instead of
Okay.
Surrey. But things could happen anytime. Who knows
That's
when?
yeah, yeah. Are you getting some support for yourself because that's emotionally very, I'm sure, very hard for you and your siblings
Not
and yeah.
not yet, but it's I have support online if I need help or
Good.
things. My mom gets her support by friends too. Like
Okay.
I even bought my mom 3 times or 3 flowers already last couple weeks.
Hmm.
Like one flower, I was like, okay, we need some more color flowers. Boom, done. Oh, Valentine's flowers, and then I bought uh, multicolor roses,
Oh, that's sweet. That's really nice.
and I
Yeah.
love them. I like
Yeah.
those are neat for her, just so her she knows that she's going to be strong for her treatments.
Oh, that's so kind. That's so sweet. That's really nice.
And
Yeah.
her friend from younger age, their whole street called
Mm-hmm.
the Carroll Street Girls from New West. So what they did is they bought my mom flowers. Our transit system in here, some of the shuttle drivers and drivers help pitch my mom flowers.
Really? Oh my gosh, that's so nice.
So she's getting support. I'm
Oh,
getting support by my work.
good.
If I need time off, boom, I got it.
Good.
No
Oh,
problem.
that's
Yeah.
fantastic. That's so
Even
fantastic.
if it's a new job.
Wonderful.
So
I'm happy for you. That's good. That's really
if
good. You know
but
what?
if
At times like this is when people realize who their friends are, who their supports are. When life is difficult, that's sometimes when it gets tested. So I'm really happy for you and your family.
it kind of fun. I like it because it shows everyone like, hey, since it's COVID, it is hard.
For sure.
Partially when my mom was in the hospital, you could not visit her at all. Like I could not come to the hospital and see her due to we only allowed one guest at a time, and that was my dad.
Mm,
So I would phone her every break, before work, after work, during the
mm,
nighttime, making sure how she doing
mm,
on phone. So
mm,
it was a long phone calls.
mm,
But when she went to another ring, my dad couldn't go to it.
mm,
So I feel sorry for any other family members or family
mhm.
who have family members in the hospital who cannot see each other. Period.
True.
I am lucky, so grateful to be lucky to go into the chemo room with my mom
Yeah.
while
Yeah.
she doing her treatment
Mhm.
because right now in any of the cancer treatments in BC, you're not allowed to go in there
Right. Yeah.
with a
Same
family.
here. Same here in Ontario.
So I'm very grateful for that, and
Oh,
I'm lucky I have a. My mom has the best cancer doctor that granted me to be in that room with her.
oh, that's nice. That's really
Even
nice.
I didn't ask for it; they give it to her permission. Have one guest, so it was me.
Oh.
So tell us about your pageant.
Which one?
All of
Ask me any question you like.
So tell me about your Miss World
Canada World
Canada.
Universal? Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. I mean, it's amazing. Actually, I wasn't expecting it to be so much fun, but even though COVID is happening, they've been planning some awesome events for us every month. We have like two events. So like yesterday we just had like a cooking class, so they organized like with a professional chef, and they told us to get our ingredients beforehand, and we kind of all had our Zoom on with in our kitchen, and we were all making some dishes, so that was kind of fun. And then another time they had like a fitness instructor and doing dance and things like that. And so we were following along on our Zoom. So they do these kind of things to keep us entertained. So that was fun. And then also, I've been still trying to be, like how we're doing right now, just being able to do kind of virtual appearances, if you will. It's not the same, obviously, as going out into the community, but there are actually a lot of things you can do online. And so I've been doing that as well, creating different video clips and things like that. So it's been fun. It's been a really good outlet for me because right now I'm a PhD student and I'm studying all the time, and it's very dry sometimes. You need a mental break from studying, and I'm also working. So it's really intense. And so just to break up your day, I think it's so important to have that life work balance and be able to have fun. Like it should not be underestimated how important it is to laugh, and how important it is to have hobbies and interests and have fun. For so long, I was just like working, 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 and a lot of time is spent when you travel to work. But all my work is online now, going from like counseling in person and doing that in the office to doing it online. Like there is a benefit to being, of course, in person with someone and their presence. But at the same time, for sometimes I feel for me, it's really helped in terms of travel time and the energy it takes to go to different organizations and places and school and all of that. But yeah, no, the pageant in terms of the activities has been good, and we're also doing things for the Leah International Foundation, which is affiliated, which is a part of the pageant. So I'm an ambassador for that, and so that's an NGO, and that's something I'm really passionate about because I'm a social worker. And so the focus for us is to develop programs and strategies for how to help girls in Canada, because it's a Canadian based nonprofit based in Gatineau, Quebec. So what we're doing is trying to reduce barriers to women going back to school, right? Because a lot of women, even though it is a first world country here in Canada, there are a lot of people who, a lot of girls who drop out of school, or they might get pregnant, might not, they might have to work, they might not, they might have drug and alcohol issues. There could be a variety of reasons why the women don't continue with school, or there aren't like practical skills that they can take. Let's say if they leave a domestic violence relationship and then they need to upgrade their skills if they go to a women's shelter. So that's something I really am passionate about. I've always been sort of uh, obviously someone who believes in social justice, but especially in terms of women's rights, that's really a passion for me. And that's what's been actually really fun about all the pageants, because even with the Miss Universe Canada platform and Miss Galaxy, this has really been a surprise. Honestly, I never thought of myself as a beauty queen. I've always been more of a studious person, and it just sort of happened that I came into this world. But it's very different from the stereotype I had myself about what beauty pageants were all about. I used to think that they were not about intelligence, and it was just about how someone looks, and it was very superficial. But my experience has been the complete opposite. I mean, the challenges they give us are challenging, to create presentations and ideas and expand our mind. And we even actually have a mentor in the Miss Canada World Universal pageant that I was telling you about. We have mentors and coaches who help us with everything. to feel confident, to kind of reflect on who we are and our platform. So it's been really quite incredible.
That's good because I know I'm in Ken and Galaxy with you. We're both in the same
Yeah.
division, but
Yeah.
I'm in other pageants too.
Yes. And you've been doing it for a while. So I'm a new person on in this world, but you've been here in different pageants for a long time. You're very experienced.
Not really.
No?
I only been in, my first one was in 2019,
Okay.
ever.
So the year before. Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
but like you say, beauty pageants has changed. I thought, oh yeah, you have to be totally um, certain size
Yeah.
and no tattoos, no this, no that. But there's not. The one I was in, the first one ever, was Miss BC, and I kind of blow my mind because it was I joined it because of the leadership skills.
Right.
I
Mm-hmm.
didn't care about winning. I just wanted workshops, like self defense, work, do makeup yourself, how to post yourself, like leadership workshop, all those skills, and that was amazing skills. And then from
Mm-hmm.
there to Canada Galaxy is totally different format. So each pageant has a different format.
Mm-hmm.
I just did my interview for North America today.
Oh, how did that go?
It was different. It was I had to think what I was wrote on my questionnaire for the interview because they asked those same questions. I'm like, oh my god, I'm hoping didn't pick the points off because didn't say the right words I put down.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a different format there too, is because you're taking 10% of your score
Yeah.
is voting,
Right.
and you doing that voting too. It's your pageant,
Yeah.
so me and you were I vote for you and hope you vote for me, but it was like amazing how different the formats of the pageants are like. Um,
Yeah, yeah, and I mean it's good because it's more creative and it gets you to it really is empowering because you're developing yourself professionally and personally. I mean it gives so much confidence if you reflect on who you are, what you're about, what your platform's all about. I never thought about that before in terms of this. I thought of that in terms of my spirituality and my belief system and just me as a person, but I never actually thought of applying that to the beauty pageant world and the modeling world and all of that. But you know what? In terms of what it is design thinking. That's what we call it in social work. And design thinking it's a type of psychology. It, it's a brand. You're presenting yourself a certain way, and what really makes an impact is when you are authentic, when you're natural, when you are who you are, and you show up as who you are, and you learn how to just make it more full, if that makes sense. Because if you follow a script and just say, oh, I should say this and I have to memorize my lines, people see through that. That's been my experience. I never really plan things. I kind of like to know a gist of what something is about, but I find it's more real when you're talking to someone. Like we're talking right now, we're just talking about anything, and it's just natural. And if you come across as authentic, I think that is the greatest gift.
it's like they asked three questions. I'm like, how unique are you? Um, what
Okay.
three words
What
about
did you
you?
say? What did you say? What did you say?
So for me, since I'm LGBTQ and disabled, I am inspiring everyone else who
That's right.
could do it.
Yep.
I am different. I
Hmm.
am standing out in the box. I'm really staying out of the box right now. Is going into a whole new system. Like,
Right.
I was the first one in Miss BC pageant as a transgender. No
Yeah.
one told me until the media told me the last day before the pageant, on
Wow.
day or night before the pageant day. Just got me going. I'm like, oh my god. Or the pageant day they told me. I'm like, wow, that's a make. I don't care if I didn't win. It was like I
Yeah.
made a statement, and that
That's
was
huge.
I did a
Congratulations. That's huge.
in
Yeah.
Canadiency. I was one of the first two. There were two of us same year, first time, and that's another big shocker. Is I'm doing other pageants that do separate and just blowing their minds how much I could do. Like I wouldn't be doing this podcast if I didn't get my nerve up. Thanks to my coach who told me, "Hey, do a podcast. I'll help your interview like crazy." And
Mm-hmm.
um, but your skills from a pageant are amazing because
Mm.
you are learning life skills.
Yep. It's true.
Like for
Even how to
interview,
like manage your time effectively, right? And knowing how to do things and structure things and being organized. Like I never thought of all these skills being required for a beauty pageant, because when you watch it on TV, I don't think the audience really has that understanding of how intense the competition is, how much is involved to prepare. It takes a lot, and it takes a lot of courage. It really takes a lot of courage to put yourself out there and to
yep,
be able to say, here I am in all my vulnerability, accept it or don't accept it, but this is who I am. And that's fearless, that's confidence, that's courage, and not everyone can do that.
true. Like interviews, interview for a pageant could give you better interview for your jobs, new
True.
jobs,
Yep.
or or promotion. Um, Walking on heels, it'll help your health. If you could walk on heels on the stage, you could walk heels anytime.
That's my weakness. I have to work on that. I've never been like a heel person. I have not. I'm more of a running shoes type of person. So that's something I need to practice.
And like me, I just finished my third chapter on my book.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it's a women's book, and I'm only one who is transgender in this book too. So it's another
Amazing.
statement. But or both my books were. I'm part of like called Secret Hearts Rising series, and I was the first transgender in it. Period. And tell us about my journey, my life journey.
Wow.
And when we get back to bit normal, I think we'll
Mhm.
be doing another book, and I will put the worst stories about the nightmares like I have, the worst
Wow.
like the facts, so people know the good side and then the bad side of life.
Well, not bad, but difficult. Yeah, definitely.
Difficult in the pain and sorrows and
Yeah. Yeah.
losing jobs and losing friends and who knows what.
But I have a question for you. Okay. So, my belief has always been that the more you go through challenges and pain, the more you grow. Spiritually, you grow. And I call that resilience, sort of overcoming adversity. And you sound like someone who's gone through a lot. And you continue to do that because even your family, like you described about your parents and what you're going through with that, to be able to develop that thick skin, and to be able to inspire and empower others, that's not easy. But I think that the more you do it, the more confident you feel. Is that, would you say that's true?
That's true, because if, like I always say, if you push yourself to go exceed something, you won't. If you don't do it, you won't move on.
Yeah.
I
It's
only
like
get
it's like a spiritual muscle, I call it, right? Because it's you go through a you might not have experienced that challenge, so you don't know if you can do it. But now because you've been through so much, you're like, this is nothing. I can do this. I know I will overcome on the other side.
like for me, I went into a women's challenge, being
Hmm.
a first transgender in it too. But it was like no clue what's gonna be like. Didn't know about drama. Didn't know about the cat fights,
Right.
all that. And sure, I went top 30, got that part. Then I went to top 15 and
Mhm.
got more issues in there between
Right.
that. But I didn't move to top 6. But you know what? I learned a lot in that
Hmm.
challenge is getting onto the stage. I was so scared to be on the stage ever in my life.
Wow. So you pushed
And
yourself in out of your comfort zone. You put yourself there, and now I'm guessing it's not as scary because you've done that.
it's some scary part, but it's doing pageants. You kind of you don't see people on the stage
Hmm.
when it's a big stage. It's you see lights and you're kind of like, oh my god, and like they're right out to you. Like all you have to remember is how to walk. But
Okay.
that's the main part, and I know like it's me being a speaker. I spoke 8 times on my first year, and I haven't done one for a year now
Hmm.
until next month, and then I'll be back speaking again in online, but this year. But I encourage myself to go to a women's conference
Okay.
and speak. It could
Nice.
be 5 minutes, it could be 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I don't know what yet, but I'm like,
Like for
and
International Women's Day, are you thinking?
it's after Women's Day, but
Okay.
it's a speaking program or event called Women's in Bloom. So
Okay.
I'm one of the speakers. I know a couple other speakers who's in it, but there's like 100 of us speaking.
Wow. That's incredible.
So it was supposed
I'm really proud of you. I really am. That's amazing. You've come a
to
long way from
oh
being
yeah,
scared to public speak to being able to do this. That's
like
amazing.
that was two
Yeah.
days event. Um, but now we're doing it 2 days, smaller shit day. But on the first day or on the 19th of March, we're
Okay.
networking.
Okay.
So a lot of people would know about me more when I go on.
Mhm.
Eventually, I have to figure out what how I'm going to do it between work. But it's that networking and then also the get people knowing to come in. Like
Mhm.
I do my own side businesses, online business.
Mhm.
I do sell a lot or a few stuff, but do I sell? Hardly. But
Mhm.
it's extra bonus
Mhm.
for um possibly right now with pageants because it's
Mhm.
hard to get sponsors right now.
It's really tough. Yeah. The economy is shot, so it's tough. You have to be
Yeah,
creative and find sort of doing in kind sort of things as well. So like for
and I
example
know
with BC, I'm my platform is Pink Thursday, so I'm the international ambassador for Pink Thursday. So in case nobody knows, it's a sort of a social movement that Mark Williams started online, and he's based in Vancouver, and this is right across the country. So every Thursday we feature somebody who's been a victim of bullying or harassment in some capacity, whether it's in the workplace or in school or just, it cuts across color lines, across gender, across everything, across age. I mean, people bully people, people hurt people, people insult people, they put people down. So this happens everywhere. So it's a global pandemic, it's a global issue. And, what I found is since COVID, hit, people's sort of temperament has changed. I do counseling for a living. That's one of the things I do for one of my jobs. And I'm noticing a lot more people have short fuses and are getting into arguments and conflicts with people. And there's been a lot of more racism, gun violence, thefts, you name it. And that's been
Yep.
globally and including Canada. I mean, I'm dumbfounded. I'm shocked sometimes because I'm like, we have gun legislation in this country, and there are like shootings happening downtown, and there's all this violence. And I think it's just um, people are frustrated, people are unhappy, people have lost their jobs, there's been financial hardship, but also I'm noticing an uprise in domestic violence cases. So a lot of people, just not getting along with their partners, or abuse happening with the children, or elder abuse, because people are stressed, and when people are stressed, what do they do? The first thing they do is try to scapegoat on other people. So I thought this would be a good platform for me, because I myself have been a victim of bullying myself. And similar to you, I mean, that's, I guess, what makes me unique in a way, is that I do have a visual impairment since birth, and I was born with a congenital birth defect known as aniridia. And so it's been hard. It's been hard for me to go to school. But that was a challenge I put to myself, because I love learning. I love reading. I love understanding human behavior. So my family supported me. They said, that shouldn't limit you just because you have this disability. If that's something you want, there are resources, there's ways to make that happen. So I got the help with CNIB, which is the Canadian National Institute of the Blind. And I have assistive devices that help me. That's why online works for me very well, because I can blow up the screens and make text larger and darker and all of that. So I've been able to go to school, and I'm doing my PhD now, and I've been able to, fulfill whatever career ambitions I wanted for myself. And so that makes me know, just like you, when you were saying, the harder that you have to push yourself, the more challenge you go through in life, you develop that resilience, that muscle, that spiritual muscle. Now I'm fearless, like, in the sense that even if I fail, if I don't win something, that doesn't mean, like, okay, that's unfortunate, but I feel like a winner already. I already feel that I've achieved the goals I set for myself. And in a conventional sense, I don't see the pageant even as a competition, because the ladies I've met, that's been my experience anyway so far, is I've really made some sisters. I've made some good friends that I can relate to, that are professional, that they're intelligent, they are, they've been through a lot, and they have a message to give. And so it makes me really happy to feel like I'm in the company of people who have a similar life experience to me. So that's a little bit about my perspective on the. I guess we were starting to talk about Pink Thursday, and that I just wanted to tell you about my platform.
But you know what? Pink
Yeah,
Thursday, I'm involved too. I have to do my video for it.
awesome.
Uh,
Thank you.
but me and Mark been talking because I was been bullying harassed by my workplace. Not
Okay.
once, not twice, 3 times.
Oh no.
Um, yeah, say it is. You know about WCB, so
Yep.
WCB is involved right now with it, and it's ugly. Like
We're
I'm
doing
half
it unionized environment. Was it a unionized environment?
no,
Okay.
non-unionized. So it's kind of up to a human rights case now.
Yeah. Okay.
So I
Yeah.
have to take my ass in gear and put it on paper and send it out to human rights without
Yeah.
a lawyer because it's hard to do it right now as a lawyer. But it's like
Yeah.
you say, stress. And I was stressing out.
Yeah.
And with COVID, there's cases of COVID in my workplace, like weekly or daily. And it was like, you're not telling me who had the COVID, who
Yeah, that's
what percent,
great.
what,
Yeah. Mhm.
and like I look at them and say, but why does school tells people that students and teachers, but why can't you tell me, oh, it's a night shift or a day shift or they're a picker or they're another department? Like, tell us so
Mhm.
we know to protect ourselves
Right.
and put a very big guard on us.
Mm.
Like I told them, I don't want COVID. I could die from it.
Mhm. Yeah, and then your parents are immune compromised, so that's a dangerous thing. Yeah.
So now my mom is very immune, cause like she is now with chemo. So
Yeah.
as of now, her immune system is going to go straight down.
Yeah. Yeah.
We until the chemo's out of here.
Yeah.
She cannot take her COVID shot
Right.
until her system builds up on the chemo
Mhm.
or what they do. My dad might take it soon, and
Okay.
then I'm taking it because of them, because I'm the
Okay.
caregiver now.
Yeah.
So it is a big a mess in my place. Even with me as an asthmatic, sure I
Wow.
have a mild case, but
Mhm.
when I was at my old job, they
Mhm.
were spraying it and they was giving me asthma attacks. My
Okay. Mhm.
and I didn't think about it.
Mm.
And then when I had to use my puffer so much, I'm like, okay, something's wrong with you guys. Like the spray is bugging me. Being
Was
an
that
asthma,
giving you panic attacks too? Because I can imagine like you're trying to and you're like, what's wrong? Like, why am I feeling like this? And you start freaking out. Did that ever happen to you? Like, where you start having a
oh
full
yeah,
Yeah.
then I
Okay.
was stressful to go to work every
Oh,
day. I
yeah.
like, okay, they're gonna fire me now. They're gonna fire me. They're
Mm.
gonna fire me.
Yeah.
Every time. Oh, go to the office. Boom. Write ups.
Hmm.
This and that. I'm like, you know what? You're stressing me out. Stop
Hmm.
it.
Hmm.
And then what they did wrong too is put a fear on everyone. Oh, don't worry about COVID. It won't kill you in this. And,
Really?
oh, you can near it. Yeah. I'm like,
Oh my gosh, that's
just
misinformation. Yeah.
they were greedy. They're like they were hungry for numbers, and they just didn't care about the staff
That's
safety.
terrible. You know, one of the jobs that I have is I'm an organizational wellness consultant again
Yeah.
for a company in Vancouver called Homewood Health, right, which is the largest mental health organization. So I work in the workplace interventions department, and these are the cases I get. So I get cases where the employer, like there's challenges, you know, with the union and then the employees, and they're filing grievances or there's conflict going on in the workplace for one
Yeah.
reason or the other. And so my job now has gone from going in person to kind of mediate the conflict, like kind of come up with a negotiation or a deal between the employer and the employee or the
Yeah.
union and that, or to do now what I'm doing actually is these virtual coaching sessions for like managers to teach them the importance of following health and safety and talking about diversity training and talk about like the things that sometimes people get into those management roles but they don't actually know how to do it properly. I hate to say it that way, but you know, there's different types of organizations, and when you're in the corporate sector, you have less liability because when you're a governmental organization, you have all these policies and procedures that you have to follow that are government like endorsed. But when you're like just a your own business, to a large degree, you have the freedom really to create the rules and to comply or not comply. And if they don't comply, they should be sued or something if it's a mandatory legislation. But there are a lot of things that companies can get away with.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Like
and yeah. Mhm.
manager at that workplace is all they had to get is master degree management. I'm like, that is no management material experience. Like,
Yeah.
do they know how to run a team? No. Then
But
they're not fit for
mhm,
manager because you need to work as a team.
right.
Like
So,
for my current job, I am learning to be a manager.
oh,
They
good.
didn't tell me that yet, but they're in the process. They're in the steps of moving me up.
Right.
So I'm like, they know I want to be a manager,
Okay.
100%. So
Okay.
I am learning steps now on
Good.
how to do it, or I
Mhm.
could be an assistant manager next couple weeks. But I am
Wow.
taking it slowly, and I'm
Yeah.
learning each person in that workplace,
Hmm.
their bad habits and then good habits.
Good.
Was me doing first aid,
Yes.
thanks to my employer,
Uh-huh.
I got it. And me being a housing safety committee member,
Cool.
Max
Very cool. Yeah.
so I've been trained by WCB.
Good.
I know, okay, the if and N's and O's of COVID. So
Mhm.
I take that advantage and I use it for my work current job.
Good. That's fantastic. And the same thing happened to me. I was a union steward when I was working in Vancouver Coastal Health, and I was bullied and harassed, and then I thought, you know what, this is how I want to contribute. Is I don't want anyone else to go through what I've gone through, so I'm going to get trained up. I'm going to learn all these policies and procedures and legislation, and now actually that's what I'm doing for, like, I would say 80% of my work right now is in workplace interventions. And I think now the government is putting more pressure on companies because there's more liability risk, right? So first of all, with COVID, right, so they have to follow those mandates. And then if somebody gets injured at work, that's a liability on the employer. And why do people get injured? It's not just from a physical disability, it could be a mental health stressor, right?
True.
And so
That's what
if
mine.
exactly, but before that wasn't really understood. Like, I think a large part of society still doesn't get that. No, if you're like not sleeping well, if you're depressed, if you have anxiety, if you have all these like mental health issues, that can compromise your safety and your productivity because your mind controls everything, right? Which is why I'm studying psychology right now, because I think everything is about psychology. Everything is how we think, because how we think affects how we feel, and how we feel affects what we do. So it's all related.
Like some people say, oh, but if you're in a big corporate company,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. I was like, no, 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 no. Big corporates, big companies,
It's a
there are
reputation risk too, right? It's a
very
reputation risk
rich.
too. And now with social media, actually, which I think is fantastic, is that if you get bad press, that can go viral, right? So if one person who had a bad experience in the workplace, they put a review on, they post it out. Let's say even Pink Thursday, or Workplace Institute, or whoever, whichever our partners are, we can put that story out there, and that can circulate widely, because we're getting bigger and adding momentum. We're actually so big now, Pink Thursday, that we've actually gone to India. We're expanding in other countries, so it's huge. And so can you imagine if you're a corporation and you're like a multinational corporation and you've got like a bad name, bad reputation now, because you have all these multiple stories now of people sharing their experience of how you did them wrong. So it is hard, and sometimes gossip can be like untrue as well. So it's not that the employer is always in the wrong.
True. Like,
Sometimes to cut costs and to they make decisions like that, and sometimes the employee might perceive that they were wronged,
yeah.
or there could be some misunderstanding. So it's really complex. That's why they have people like us go out, social workers first, and we sort of assess the situation. We interview the parties. We try to get to like a mediated understanding before things get too large, because once things go really big, they can be really nasty. And sometimes that's not necessary, but it is a tool, it is a weapon to kind of bring people to be liable and responsible for things that they do, right?
Hey. So let's talk about, since you're social worker and patching girl, what would you do tell someone if they want to do your job or go into the
Okay.
pageant?
Yeah, so I would love it if more people became social workers. I think there's a tremendous need. Social work is such a broad field, first of all. And I think when people think of the word social work, they don't really have that complete understanding of what it means. Some people think it means volunteer work, and believe it or not, in my culture, when I've told people before, now it's changing because I think they have schools of social work now. But before, my family's from India, and when my parents would say, "Oh, she's a social worker," they'd say, "Oh, you do volunteer work. That's so nice of you," right? And like, yes, we don't work for a lot of money. That's true. But really, there's so much work to do in terms of nonprofit sector is only one sector. But like I said, I work with corporate people. I work with hospitals. I work with schools. You can work in addictions treatment centers. I also work for the Office of the Children's Lawyer, which is the Ministry of the Attorney General, and I do clinical case investigations for custody and access issues and things like that. So there's so many areas of social work. It's so broad, from micro to macro. So the advice I would give to people is that, well, first of all, when you are in school, and I think most people want to get into social work because they want to make a difference. A lot of people want to make a difference, and that's great. But you have to know how. How am I going to make a difference? Because some things that you think are helping may not actually be helping. And you have to learn the skills. You have to really hone your passion, because you can't just be like, okay, I'm an activist, I'm going to change the world. Like that's good. But you have to know, how am I going to actually do this? So I had to be careful. I had to learn this the hard way, because I was very passionate. I was protesting on the streets. I was really like one of those very energized type of social justice advocates. And I thought, as soon as I finished school, I'm just going to fix everything. And you just burn out. It's important to have that motivation and that kind of passion, but at the same time, self-care is incredibly important. And I did not think about self-care. And I think most social workers, we think about ourselves last. And the advice I would give is start a good health routine now. And the beauty pageant thing totally makes sense to me, because one thing that they do teach you is not just to have the leadership skills, but also to learn how to love yourself, to have that confidence within yourself. And so when you're a social worker, if you don't take care of yourself, if you don't show love and compassion towards yourself, you're going to burn out like within a few years, like depending on what you're doing. I used to work with homeless folks, with people with addictions, with like serious like sickness. And if you are a compassionate person like I was, and I still am, but I think I've developed a little bit more, I guess I've seen it so much that it doesn't affect me as much as it used to. Like I would go home crying sometimes, because I'm seeing somebody on their deathbed. I'm seeing people struggling. It's really hard to go through pain with others who have experienced trauma and pain, especially if you're a caring, loving person. And so, the advice I would give is start a good health routine for yourself. In order to love anyone or to care for anyone or to make a difference, you have to first love yourself. You have to take care of yourself. You have to know who you are. And that's really, really, really important. If you don't do that, you will not be able to shield yourself from the negative energy. Negative energy is everywhere. There's positive
Right.
energy and there's negative energy. And especially if you're doing that kind of work, it's very easy to get depressed and be cynical and skeptical, like nothing's ever going to change, life sucks. what point is it anyway for me to try? Because, and then you start having those thoughts. And thoughts are these things that the more you think about something over and over again, it becomes like a brainwashing we do in our brain. We end up convincing ourselves that this is reality. And that seeps into our confidence, our self-esteem, and how we feel. And then ultimately how we function. So, the advice I would give is, definitely one good thing about social work is, well, there are many good things, but one of the things that I highly recommend is it's really a skill. It's not just textbook. It's definitely not just textbook. It is, you learn from seeing and experiencing people in all their environments. And so that requires you to reflect a lot, really reflect on your own stereotypes, your own biases, your own beliefs, because you might not think you're being racist or being judgmental or whatever, but you might be. And when you're working with someone, they might feel that way. And then you have not developed that rapport or that way of working with that person, and then it's not effective. So it's really important for you to work on yourself, like yourself, love yourself, you know and then you can do a good job as a social worker.
Because I know what my goal is to be a manager, but I'm thinking doing like I'm a role model,
Yeah.
a leader. But I'm going to try to do life coaching. I know that
Nice.
is not schooling, but life coach with NLP
Cool. Very cool.
and timeline
Neuro
and
linguistic programming. Very good.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what my plan is in the future. But right now, I'm just testing the water, see what's everyone's like, and
Hmm.
then just
That's
go
beautiful.
out.
You're doing it all the right way. Like you're doing these podcasts, you're learning about people. The more you interview people, the more you see how they perceive the world or how they understand things, and the more experience we have in just talking to different types of people, the more we can have an open mind and really develop as a person. And that's what it really will bring the skill to the forefront.
Like for me, right now, I'm in. It's a book called Pursuit 365.
Okay.
So that book is going to be um, 300 or is 365 women in Canada,
Nice.
um, all different culture. We are more like a big family right now. Where I've been so grateful. I had over 2,000 or 2,000 word story. They
Hmm.
had to take it down to 365
Wow.
in a day.
Wow.
So it was a big project for the editor because
Yeah.
I even told her, I was like, I need heavy any. You get to play with it. She's like, okay. And she kind of hit me around the other day when we were talking. I should do my own book. So I'm like, okay, I will do my own book after I finish on my little project.
Hmm. No, that's
Um,
fantastic. Yeah, that's fantastic.
because being an author, it kind of standing out. Like I'm part of a pride board in Surrey.
Right.
Um, I'm also like for my next guest in less than 20 minutes or 25 minutes,
Hmm.
um, will be a charity group of two BC ladies
Nice.
that wants to help women all across the country
Hmm.
who cannot afford hygiene products.
Oh, nice.
So I'm
Hmm.
going to help them broaden them out more.
Hmm.
There is three of them, or three groups of it. One
Hmm.
in BC, one in Metis, Saskatchewan,
Okay.
and one in Ontario.
Oh,
So
cool. Nice.
I'm going to hopefully join their board in BC So
I
that,
hope so. That would be great. That's incredible.
and then I also support uh, Oak Med Clinic in Maple Ridge. Right now they did every Sunday, except now it kind of frozen. I
Okay.
think there was some issue with COVID issue. I don't know what, but they had to cancel it now for a while. But
Okay.
they did food boxes. So every
Nice.
Sunday afternoon they did food box. I used to volunteer so much. But then I got tired of only ones there was only two of us volunteering daily. And we're like every Sunday I'm like, you know what? That's too much for me. I
It,
need to go out more. So
mhm.
I do Union Gospel Mission. I go to Prayer Club BC. I have been into a lot of different charities.
Nice, beautiful. You know what? That is really the best way to know yourself is to do volunteer work. That's exactly what I would say when I mentor other students as well, and people who want to figure out what they want to do with their life. They want to be a coach or a social worker, whatever they want to do, how they want to help people, is through doing volunteer work, and then you see what population you resonate with. Maybe it's a certain mission or a certain cause or a certain personal reason, which is why I got into conflict resolution because I was bullied, I was harassed, I know what it's like to be discriminated against. And so my whole career has been in mediation and conflict resolution. And now I'm still doing that. In my specialization now is in conflict management and leadership development. And I hope to develop leaders and try to teach them the skills to how to effectively manage teams, right? How to motivate people, how to consider things like mental health and wellness in the workplace and what that could look like and how that could make their workplace more efficient. So, I found that passion through my pain. And I think that you've done the same thing, is that through your challenges, you found your voice. And
I
that
always
is
say,
really authentic and beautiful.
like you and me are both spiritual. You have
Mhm.
different type of lineages than me. I'm Christian, so or Pentecostal Christian. I'm but I believe in lots of stuff. So when
Yeah.
I had my major surgery,
Yeah.
I think I heard something. And from that on, at surgery on, it changed. My whole mindset has been so instead of changing gender, I changed my whole body and
Mhm.
the mind. So now I'm like the leader, breaking
Nice.
barriers
That's
that telling people that hey, life does have we're all equal rights.
yep.
Doesn't matter who you are, doesn't
Mhm.
matter what color you are, gender you are, what
Mhm.
disabled you are, what your lifestyle is. We're
Mhm.
all one person.
That's right. That's right. I
We
believe that too. We have the same spirituality. Trust me, we have the same belief.
and we
That's what I.
have one
Mhm.
and you have a day of born and day of death. We don't do we know when we die? No. No one knows when you die.
No.
There's no only one person do know you is your dying day is God.
Although the
Straightforward.
only thing I would add to that is I don't think God is a person. Um, I I
All person.
I think it's all energy. We're all part of the one universe, whatever you call that, the creator, the higher power, whatever you call that. But there is more than us, and that's what COVID has, I think, really highlighted for people, is that we're not in the driver's seat all the time. We
Nope.
aren't. There's a lot of things that are out of our control. And one thing that I used to teach in AA was the Serenity Prayer. Are you familiar with the Serenity Prayer?
Yep.
So how does it go?
I forgot.
So it's God or higher power, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. And to me, I think if you look at that every single day, you're good, because we have to decipher. Sometimes people waste so much energy arguing with the universe when they don't have any control. They're like, I wish this would happen. I wish that would happen. And why can't this be this way? Things happen in their own time, right? If we try to rush it and we say it has to happen now, I have to have, this happen now, we're just going to be stressed. Like, I mean, it's magnificent how your life has unfolded, how my life has unfolded. And some of these things are pleasant surprises. Like, I'm sure you didn't think that one day you'd be like this, doing this podcast and being on the board and doing all these wonderful things for the community. I didn't think I would be doing what I'm doing. I didn't even think I would be ever in a beauty pageant. So life is full of surprises. And sometimes when you don't kind of limit yourself to your own beliefs and you just surrender and just say, hey, I'm open to whatever you put in front of me. That's what I do now. I just, like, the pageant thing, I wasn't even looking for it. Cindy contacted me and I said, okay, job, I got a call or interview, just you contacted me yesterday. Okay. Right. Just whatever happens, you just do it. And you just go with the flow and see what God's plan is. And there's no need to be afraid, because if you trust that there is a force that is there to catch you, and you're supposed to go in some direction. You don't know where that is, but maybe there's a reason. So I think that's the best way to live, and that is what will reduce anxiety, will reduce stress. But it's really hard. It's not an easy thing to accept the things you can't change. It's not easy. Super hard.
Yep.
Super, super.
Um, like, I have another question for you before we leave.
Sure.
Is or what would you do if you had the money, time, and travel around the world? Where would you go?
So my dream is to actually open up, schools for girls in countries where there's not enough access to education, especially for girls. I mean, this is a global problem, where even in my country, back home in India, if there's a choice between educating a boy and educating a girl, it's usually a boy. And that's patriarchy, that's a whole bunch of things. But in general, I think that education is the pathway to sustainable economies, to developing communities, to lifting people out of poverty. And we need to educate more girls, and we need to educate people in general. I mean, a lot of kids are dropping out of school. We need to understand why they're not motivated. Like, how can we get people back into skills training? How can we, help them to learn and grow mentally? Because there's so much other stuff out there. So I would love to, if I had a ton of money and didn't have to worry about it, is to be a philanthropist and go and build schools in underprivileged communities. I would love to travel around the world. Like I said in the beginning, I'm a universal citizen of the world. So I don't see myself as just a Canadian or just an Indian. Like, I'm everything. I'm all religions, I'm all faiths, I'm everything. And so I would love to go to South America. It's one of the cultures I've always loved. So diverse, so interesting, like Brazil and Argentina, and there's just so many wonderful countries to explore. I love traveling. I mean, I wish I could always be traveling, but especially not during COVID, obviously. So that's unfortunate. But right now, it's just in my dreams. I imagine myself going somewhere. But I love food. I love wine. I love learning about music and dance, and I just love cultures in general. So, if I had a lot of money, I would always be traveling somewhere. I'm sure. I'm sure.
So, how can someone contact you? And
So I have a very public profile. I'm on LinkedIn. I actually have a lot more followers on LinkedIn than I even do on Facebook,
in the
because
back,
I have a huge professional contacts there. You can find me on Instagram. I'm Resilience. So Resilience is my nickname because I feel, especially going through what I've gone through. And I also forgot to mention I have endometriosis. I've lived with it most of my life. I've had multiple surgeries as well, and it's really affected the quality of my life. Right. I went through my last surgery last year, actually the year before I moved back from Vancouver. But my second surgery is when I sort of started my new life over again. So it was resilience underscore 16. So that's my Instagram name. So people can
Cool.
find me there. People can find me on Facebook, obviously. People can find me on LinkedIn, on Twitter. So those are the main ones that I use.
Hey, I want to say thank you for being on my podcast. It
Thank
kind of
you for
made it
inviting me.
Passion. We both don't. I don't know where my questions are. I misplaced it, but it was better to have big open chit chat with you
Yeah,
because it's fun. Have
sure.
something different. Might want to bring you back and do more talk later
Sure,
on,
I would love that. I would be honored. That would be lovely.
and bring because it'd be neat to learn more about you and your other passions because
Sure.
who knows, you might be a queen in a few months.
Maybe. You never know whatever God has planned for me.
So
Yeah.
that's it for the podcast because I have another podcast in 10 minutes.
Lovely. Lovely. Well, thank you so much, Alexis. I really appreciate being invited to your show. And I wish
Yeah,
you all the best as well with your pageants.
thank you so much. Thank you all for watching. Also, this will be on YouTube and my Facebook and her Facebook for a while. Till it deletes, but I hope not. But yeah, you in touch with one of us. You never know when you need a social worker
You
a
always
sis-
need social worker.
or when you need a sisterhood to talk to you
Yes. Yes.
about your bullying harassment or who knows what you have. Just talk, and it makes everyone easier life.
Right.